This conference will now be recorded.
anything that we thought we would need to potentially include, we listed so that it could be approved now, we don't have to come back to you for more money later. If you decide, we get to a certain point and you guys want to do furniture through a different vendor or on your own, we just won't bill against that $30,000 line item, and that money goes back to you.
So that line item's included in the 1.6.
Everything listed here is included in all.
Dylan, thanks for opening. All better now, right?
I am, oh my gosh, it took me a little
Takes
while.
forever, doesn't it?
But yeah, thank you.
I'm under 7, services and responsibilities. Maybe you should have a copy of this.
I got it.
I apologize.
Yeah, you have mine.
Thank you.
We got, there's several things under there that we do not, like planning services, programming services, space planning services, geotechnical services, acoustic design, value, and all these it says for the client to do, we don't have them capabilities. So, we really don't.
And those would be items that you could potentially, they may or may not be needed. And if they are needed, you would hire an outside consultant to do those items. So programming and planning, we've already done it, right? So that we didn't include here because that was part of our phase 1 services that we completed. So I feel like it's really, it probably should have said not applicable because we've already done it. And you don't need to hire those services for programming and space planning. That was part of our master plan phase. Geotech is something that is typically done by the owner, by the city. We typically don't hire a geotechnical just because it's something that we want to make sure that we're not influencing as a design. It's something that's kind of independent. I know you guys have BHC do a lot of their civil work. They could be contracted directly to do a geotechnical investigation. It's not typically a huge expense, but that would be something that would be third party or part-time us as a design team. Any other items?
Mr. Bishop, I noted on that page as well, and you'll see my little blue note was cost estimation.
Yeah.
And so who we would turn to is Vogel Anderson for that piece, as I understand it. They say that's a client responsibility. Perfect example would be when we're doing a cost estimation, that's where we work with our construction manager. So that's a perfect example.
That's what I was reading when I read through the contract as well. It looks like a lot of times it said client where that could be substituted for the senior.
Yeah, and then we say client on our end because we're not directly contracted with the contractor. The GC, that's an agreement that you have with Vogel Anderson, so it's under your purview.
So these are gonna not be extra costs, they will be included in Vogel and cost, correct? Or do we still have to
That
talk to them about
particular
doing
one.
it?
I think it's on a category by category basis, depending on what we're doing, what needs to be done, and what's applicable.
Right.
I wanted to make sure I understood about that reimbursable that you touched on. I have a similar question. Well, it sounds like you already have a chunk of that included in the 1.6, but it's if it goes over that amount, will we have a breakdown of what's already included so we know if we're
Yeah, we can do that. We can provide a breakdown of what that sort of 8,100 includes, that we've estimated. And then if we go above and beyond that, we'll just kind of have to provide a breakdown on a case-by-case basis. If it goes above and beyond.
It's like monthly, we have updates on how we're moving along.
Yep.
And that is.
Yeah, we would typically invoice once a month, and it would be by sort of phase of the project. So we can give you, if it's helpful for cash flow purposes, we can kind of do a breakdown of what we anticipate billing each month based on our design schedule. So we can, typically, in schematic design, we would invoice 15 to 20% of the fee. So you can see that breakdown, so you can anticipate and help do a kind of cash flow projection of what we would be billing each month. If that's helpful.
Yeah, I think, not to speak for Vogel Anderson, but one of the discussions we had was about them kind of being in control, if you will, of managing the project along with that budget, and having those in report. So we can kind of co-mingle these activities and that everybody's on the same page. But I like the fact that they could give us some of what they estimate on the $8,100 for the reversals, because that is a little confusing and we don't want to get nickel and dime. My statement is, my research suggests this is maybe a little on the high end, this particular basic service proposal. And that, that's a quite a bit of the budget. But if you look at 10 to 12%, this is under that of an entire project. It's $18 million for 1.6. So it seems fairly reasonable. But you always have a choice that you can go out and find someone else, or way along into this process. And so that would substantially delay. However, they may have a comment on that, but whether they feel they're high or not, but in the sense, you just kind of look at everything. Again, they didn't percentile this, which is one of those approaches, each one of these big categories, but they don't have to. They propose 1.6-ish as a fixed, somewhat basic, and then these added service costs. So I think number one, $8,100, giving us the breakdown of that estimate, just for some reassurance, and then those things outside of it, we just have to figure out how to control.
I think you're right on the 10 to 12% is a really typical range for cost of design services, all in design costs as a comparison to construction costs. So we wrote this down. We test a lot of times, our budget against, that 10 to 12%. I think this ends up being 11-ish% total. So I was looking at. So, but we build the budget based on what we think the effort is that's going to take to pull it.
A couple of questions on the design, okay? I noticed in here, you got a mayor's office for 200 square feet. That's $86,000 plus furnishings on top of that. That's an employee for us, isn't it?
How much money were you thinking?
It's
So 80,000? Yeah, we could certainly hire an employee for 80,000.
Yeah, I mean, why couldn't we just use the conference room or something if we need to make it have a meeting? I mean,
And I think these are placeholders. We're not into the design as of yet. That could be an office. I think what we did some years ago, Arc Images had this kind of a survey, and so we said, hey, this is an office, that's an office, that sort of thing, and they took some of that information, so we didn't have to repay it again, right, and do all that work again. So some of that is regurgitation, but I think that it's just an office designator, not necessarily who might occupy it.
I'll just speak up just really quickly. I think the goal is that any space that we can make multi-function or flexible to be used in different ways was definitely the goal, to be able to maximize every square footage, because square footage is dollars, right?
Yeah.
But I would also say that there's some areas of the building that are higher cost per square foot than others. And an office would be, less cost per square foot than, say, the courtroom or, so just, it's not a one for one necessarily, with this square footage is exactly this cost.
moving to the fire station, I count 7 bunk rooms. That's planning for today. That's not planning for tomorrow. Because eventually we could go 4 and 4 on a rig. And get somebody sleeping on the couch. I just don't, personally, I just don't see, I'm not knocking your design or anything like that. I know it's still in progress, but it just seems like we're not, on the fire station, we're just not looking that far in the future. Because there's regulations coming down that this fire station will never meet after tomorrow. I think we should plan ahead for those coming events, so we don't have to spend another $3 million adding on to it again. So, maybe that could be a discussion we could have with the chief and everything like that. I know I told you this before, there's 34 years in them, and I know it works when it doesn't work, so.
Yeah, those are all definitely great points that we'll make sure that we're vetting with chief and with the design folks.
This particular phase, the schematic design, will be the detail. Everybody will have some input about the phase. This is blocking. What you're looking at is blocking and set concept stuff to get us to an idea of a budget, not how much it costs, but a budget, and this idea of how these things are going to fit, this puzzle's going to fit together. So the next phase, and I reassure you that this is where the input is going to really matter.
One thing that we had, brought up, and I think, we talked about that a little bit, Ellen, was, the all-inclusiveness of the design and how well received some of those outdoor pieces were to our community, the walking path, the, water feature, that just like landscaping pieces of it. And so, just to confirm that those pieces are included in this design, we know that the budget's still, forthcoming for the construction, aspect of it, that would be included in the design.
Correct, yeah, I talked to our landscape designer this morning, just to confirm and reiterate, what we've shown you guys in renderings is an idea of what this site could be master planned to include. And our design services that you're, contemplating tonight includes the design of all of the things that you saw. The construction budget may or may not support all of those features to be included. If it's a priority for the city to build the water features, to build the landscape forms and all of that, day one, we'll have to make sure that the budget is in alignment. And there may be other sacrifices that have to be made in the program. So we just need to make sure that that's transparent all throughout design and make sure that Vogel Anderson can track those costs during the design phase so that those decisions can be made when the construction starts.
If I might add to that, is that I think the expectation is the architect, the design work gets put in. Those are stuff that's going to be designed. And then it's a construction manager guiding us through, okay, instead of these golden lights, maybe we go with the silver lights, right? Okay, cost, lower cost, and then we get everything that we need without really sacrifice, but we get the lights we need, we get all these things, and then you, at the end, have all of the stuff that comes in the wish list. And that, our construction manager, that's one of their primary functions to help us with that.
Do you have more questions? Presenting the concept, or anything that was clarified?
No, I don't think so. I think the only thing I need to add, my due diligence here, is there is adequate funds to pay for this. It's in the debt service fund, as a part of our town center fund, municipal complex fund.
So, one thing that we would need if we want to remove the multiplier is if we have a motion to approve, if we want to say to approve the amending, to remove the multiplier in B3.
Yeah, is that,
Yeah.
that must be the page. So your recommendation is, oh, I'm sorry, this is,
That's, you
Sorry.
have that one.
I can have
That's the
that.
only page
Okay.
in page
okay,
from your.
let me get to that. real quick. Yeah, in this last paragraph, if you just take a look at this,
Yep.
compensation for the reimbursable expenses shall be multiple of 10%, and that we would just
Strike
strike
that
through
and
that.
say of 0% or
Yep.
we'll exclude the multiplier from that section, we'll resend the contract.
Yeah,
Signature.
under D3, reimbursable expenses, the multiplier is excluded. Josh, you agree with that? Yes.
And are we okay with the other reimbursable section, or do we need more information on that?
I think the agreement is they're gonna provide us detail on the $8,100, and then we just have to manage those other things.
We would also be significant to know how exact, like if we're getting charged for reimbursables for postage or printing or things along those lines, how much are we getting charged for each of those? So is it so much per page, is it so much, it might determine whether we do Zoom meetings or in person, that sort of thing, like, as we're watching this, so, kind of a detail.
And we could, I've done this before with municipalities that, we could say this is a not to exceed. And if we reach that amount and we still have mileage to, drive or things that we have to print, we have absorbed those costs. So, we that we made everybody feel more comfortable with that cap, as opposed to, send it and see where we're at.
So for clarification, is it your suggestion that you would be amenable to a not to exceed the 1.6
For
to
the
all in,
100.
or just the 8,100 piece?
Well, all of it,
Reimbursable.
the total design fee and including the reimbursables, we could say that is a not to exceed, and we would not bill beyond the 8,100. And just to clarify, the supplemental services, if you decide you don't use any of those 6 line items, that goes back to the city. I anticipate you will likely want to include those pieces. If you go ahead and do it.
The supplementals specifically.
Mhm.
So I think what I heard is not to exceed the $8,100, they're gonna absorb, but the supplemental services, we will more than likely need them, there's a billing rate for those.
I'm gonna try to piece it together, and then if anyone has any questions or comments, that's fine, but if everyone's comfortable, then we would approve the city manager entering into a contract with Gable Williams Architecture to provide full architectural design and supplemental services up to $1,663,440, amending to remove the multiplier in B3 with reimbursables not to exceed $8,100. Okay.
Close, reasonable. I
That
think that's the
sounds
way,
very good. I make a motion
as stated.
as stated.
Second. We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Adcox.
Yes.
Mullen. Bishop.
Yes.
Malat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes. You appreciate it, excited to get it started, yes.
Item number 4 on the agenda, consider approving a bid from Westland Construction to complete site restoration at 131 South 110th Street and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Westland Construction to complete site restoration work. This was tabled from August 12th of 2024.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor, Council. 131 South 110th Street is in the Riverview Crossroads District. It's a part of the roundabout, if you will, construction area. There was a lot of land modifications, some erosion, controls were required to be removed. There may have been a necessity for the city to take some counter action, restore those, advocate out order them to be moved. The landowner in that area has documented extensive pieces of erosion. Again, this is old business, we talked about this before. We were over 100+ thousand in the previous bid. And one thing to note that included was at the driveway of that particular resident, that bid previously included some grading work because of aesthetics. It was built as it is, you drive by there today, that's built as per the design standards. But the homeowner was not impressed with that, and some seating and some other things that was included in some of the, maybe we could do some grading and things. But that's one of the major changes in the rebid, is going back out and saying, hey, let's take that piece of it out. And then if there's some reconsideration, negotiation later on for that. But that was built as designed, it has nothing to do with the erosion control, which we want to focus on. And why that's important is all the downflow, if you will, from Riverview, north of Riverview at 110th Street on it would be the east side, that east side corner north. Same side of the church, you know. Right there's some riprap, there's some drainage, that needs attention, and it improves everything for the city. So the downflow of that and east-west flow of that, this project will include some improvements in that area. Wasn't quite right, you know, how things, you get a little bit of heavy rain or something, and now you know the way it's flowing. So this does include some of that work, so it's benefits the entire community. Now they have, of course, some downflow as well, there's some creeks and stuff along that property as well, and this will improve any kind of erosion, mudding, and some of this other business that would go along, you know, just crossing that streamway a little bit. So, in a sense, we will still work on 19 different areas. The grading has been taken out from the driveway. It is a bit of a hill there, but it's as designed. It has nothing to do with erosion. It's more cosmetic and at the request of the property. So that the change here is from Westland Construction, $52,850. And we recommend that you accept the bid.
What's the time frame? Somebody from Westland here,
I don't think so.
what's their time frame?
Well, we're encouraging them, they're, in the bid documents, they have a certain period of time after we approve this to get started, and we want them to start before the spring. There's a reason. As I mentioned in our previous conversations, the winter time is the best time to get onto that property, because it can get, you know, spring fed almost up through the ground, and it's muddy. And so this is the best time to get that riprap rock and do some of that grading that needs to be done, and some just kind of contouring of the ground. So between now and March 1st, we're hoping to get this done.
I'll make the motion to award the bid to Westland Construction to restoration of 131 South 150th.
The motion from Councilman Bishop, a second from Councilman Malachy, clerk, please call roll.
Adcox.
Yes.
Mullen.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Malat. Shriver.
Yes.
On to new business. Item number 5, your staff presentation on 2024 fourth quarter budget program.
I'll turn this over to Mr. Gerber.
Everybody, good evening.
You should be able to.
All right, I'll let myself move it forward. Everybody can jump up. Good evening. A couple comments before we get started on this. This is very early for a fourth quarter report. So the numbers that you're seeing are very tentative. They're going to change. But we wanted to give you information as best we could, guys. So please understand that the numbers that you're seeing, when you see them again as part of, say, the next budget process, they're going to be a little bit different, particularly on the expense side. Nonetheless, we do have some good news. But as always, I want to start with this, some things that we're wanting to emphasize. You see this slide from me now. This will be the fourth time. But these are things, again, that rating agencies look at, that professional evaluation look at when they're evaluating our financial practices. Quarterly budget updates, which we're doing, formal investment policy. And then if we end up, if the governing body ends up approving item number 6, that will go a long ways towards a multi-year capital improvement plan with a identified. So, we sort of checking our way down this list and making those kinds of improvements. As a bit of a review, I normally don't have this slide in here, but as a bit of a review, I thought I'd talk very briefly about the investment strategy. And I wrote this down into 3 columns. The first is when we started this conversation about investment in March of 2024. This is kind of what we had. Not really good policy, very passive, not strategic. 0.006 interest rate, $27,000. What we recommended was a best practice kind of policy, being cautiously aggressive. We thought we could get several $100,000 in income, and we thought we could get in the 4 to 5% rate. What we have is we implemented the policy, we approved the policy with these things. We ended up making a targeted investment of $6 million. We felt comfortable that our cash flow would sustain that we would be liquid enough. There's still some learning with that. We're trying to kind of understand how the bills ebb and flow. But we have $6 million invested. In the first 3 months, we got $100,000. So the last 3 months of 2024. So, you know, under promise and over deliver. That's exactly what this did. And right now our interest rate is 4.3. Subject to change because it's very good, but that's where we're sitting right now. So this is really great news, obviously. With that being said, it's not like there's a pot of interest money that can go be spent. The interest money was factored into the budget revenue as a way to offset some mill levy reductions and as just a way to help shore up the general fund. But it's still very, very good news. This just breaks down the interest that we received since we really got aggressive with this. Almost $29,000 in October of 24, $34,000 in November, and then $36,000 in December. And that's just going to keep building because that money is not going anywhere. It's just sitting there. So we're not touching the principal, which is a great thing to have when you do investments, as we all know. So very good news. The next slide, the next couple of slides you will be very familiar with, and for those of us that are colorblind, the actual is on the right, and the budget is on the left. Okay, you're welcome. I actually remember this time, so and you can see some good news here too. The budget for 2024, we budgeted 7.6 million in revenue. We ended up getting 7.8, again, subject to change. We budgeted, unfortunately, we budgeted more expenditures than revenue in the 2024 budget, but we actually came in way underneath what we budgeted. So 7.2, almost 7.3, again, subject to change. Some of the bills from December haven't necessarily hit the account yet. And as you know, we're going into a new system and it's been okay, but it hasn't been the most amazing process ever. So,
We're learning.
so that's good news. We exceeded revenue by a couple $100,000 and we underspent by half a million. So really good news. And just as kind of a reminder of 4 of the last 5 budgets were actually deficit budgets. 24 is not a deficit budget, 25 won't be either. Certainly a point of emphasis from the city manager and I know from this body that that message is being received loud and clear. This slide is something I always include, the top 5 general fund revenues. And if you look at these, they make up about 82 or so % of our general fund revenues overall. And so if you look at these 5 particular sources, that gives us a really good sense of where we're at. And so we exceeded property tax revenue. Sales tax revenue was very close, a little bit under. Use tax was significantly over. Franchise fees were almost spot on, a little less, and court fees actually were just a little bit over as well. And so that, all of those combined led to the exceeding general fund revenues over what was predicted. Again, we always like to look at each department and the message that administration has delivered loud and clear to the departments and which they respond very well. A lot of credit goes to the department heads who manage their budgets quite well. But you can see most departments came in under their actual budget. So that's the only one that exceeded it was court, and that was by about $9,000. And we had a long tenured employee there. Everybody else came in under budget. So even administration with our excess of professional services, we came in under budget at least at this point. What is next? We will begin working on closing the FY24 fiscal year, just making sure everything's on the books, everything's in order, and we're actively beginning our 2024 audit work, working with the new auditor. Believe it or not, we will start on the 26 budget work here in the next probably month or so. And then we'll also be working on the 2025 CIP presentation so that we can get projects in front of you for your approval for road work and those kinds of things. With that, I will answer any questions that you might have.
How much of it? Thank you, that was just worlds better than we're supposed to receive recently. I was wondering in the 2025 budget, how much interest income was used to offset mill levy? You said that was included, that income was included, about how much was included in the 2025 budget?
We budgeted $300,000.
And interest income? Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, would you email us a copy of that report? Thank you. That just gives it a little bit more time to go over. Thank you. Appreciate it. Item number 6. Consider authorizing city manager to enter into a work order with professional engineering consultants to complete a pavement service evaluation and grading PACER assessment to provide a basis for capturing quality of roadways.
And thank you, Mayor, Council. You're familiar with our PACER system. Part of the presentations over the years, we relied on that. We're going to go back to that. There's another option for us, but at a bigger scale. But this is something we already know, as we're familiar with the language and some of the ratings. This is a priority for 2025. It's a budgeted item. And I'll call your attention that The compensation study was also a budgeted item, but it came in nearly half. So there's plenty of money, to add this particular services. This really basically starts at about 35,000, and we worked it up to the 64,000, and I want to point out that they're gonna formulate the plan for us, which is very important. And we're gonna work with them specifically because this could be even more money. These are very expensive engineering feats, if you will. Typically, other engineering firms that we discuss this with for hiring this, but our personnel will participate in some of the data gathering. But what I like about that is it gets them out there, intimate with how the system is going to work. They're engaged from day one. They're not just presenting data at the very end and say, okay, now make some judgment calls on what to do next. So they'll help us with the complete plan. They'll have GIS data that's ready for us. We'll be able to engage with that and call them when we have some complications, and they can guide us through it. And again, the end result will be that, number one, we work with them, we're intimate with the whole entire system, and that they will give us a capital improvement plan that we can formulate our efforts from. And we think that's really important. Otherwise, if we did it separately, we have to know how to interpret the data. So that's something we have to learn. So this will take longer and longer. We're at the end of the year and none of our projects really got done, or the projects we decided on didn't have this data. So we think the planning piece is most important, and it's about 10,000. So overall, at $64,000, we have plenty of money budgeted for this particular work, and I recommend that you allow me to enter into the work order agreement with EDC.
How much did we budget for this?
I think it was in the 72 range, maybe somewhere in there. And again, we had some offsetting by about that 15,000, not with that comp study that we thought was gonna be 30 something.
Hey, while they're doing this, and I don't think we've done this yet, but I've been trying to do this for years and years and years. We need an inventory of everything, that we have street signs, manhole covers, anything that's, even fire hydrants. Yeah, thanks. Because because when FEMA comes in, nothing happens here. When they come in and you don't have a record of, oh yeah, stop sign there, have no record, then we can't be reimbursed. So the things like street lights and stuff that we own, not the utilities, but we do hang stuff on utilities. Is there a possibility of doing that? I mean, you're driving every street, correct? Pretty much.
I thought Westie did something like that.
There is a dated sign inventory. What we also need is a sign condition inventory. And this is a lot of electronic videoing and some of this other stuff. And PEC folks are here, and I'm sure welcome them to have a conversation with you about this very quickly. But in a sense, there's opportunity to use these technical devices to get us, hey, there's a sign there, and get us a condition report. They may be added services. And so I'll turn this over. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, Jason Fundus, I'm our team lead for our municipal transportation team in Northeast Kansas for DEC. With me is Phil Allenberry, who's one of our project managers that will be assisting on this project. So what Mark described is we kind of put together options for them to decide what they want to do. One of those options is to use video, where we would do sign inventory, to pick up manholes, to pick up light poles that are there in the range, and then that all goes back to AI, and they collect the data. So that's one of the options that we have in there as well. Another option is to actually go out there, manpower, which is what Mark was talking about, and working with him on that. Is if you get some staff trained to do that themselves, then that provides a better benefit to the community and your guys' staff as well. So we kind of laid it out as options either way, whether it's videotaping it and then processing the data from videos, or going ahead and doing it manpower.
Video an up-to-date inventory without actually being able to touch it.
Correct.
Yeah, I think.
You're out there doing the work.
Yeah.
Is that included in the 64,000?
Yes, yes.
Manholes, of course, that was already done from a sewer survey. We paid for that a few years ago. Those are up to date. That hasn't changed. Sign condition is important because we have signs and they're up, but they look terrible in some places. So we're doing that. And then every once in a while, you have to see a sign. Our public works people already, this is a priority. It's required in our ordinances anyway. So they've been out there trying to do some of this, but this will enhance that effort.
no other questions, we'll hear a motion to authorize city manager to enter into a work order with professional engineering consultants.
As said.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Bishop, a second by Councilman Shriver. Will the clerk please call roll?
Adcox.
Yes.
Sorry, Mullen.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Malat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Item number 7 on the agenda, consider motion to recess an executive session pursuant to KSA 7543-19E2 for consultation with the city attorney, which would be deemed privileged in attorney-client relationship regarding potential litigation. This one, I believe, would include our city manager, our city attorney, and then our, yes.
Would you say your name out loud for us?
Brandon Meisner.
I didn't know what title,
No, that's fine.
so thank you.
It's in the record.
And about how long do we have?
30 minutes.
So returning it is 7:15.
Make a motion to move to executive session returning at 7:15.
Take it.
The second from Councilman Shriver, second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call?
Adcox. Mullen.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Malat.
Yes.
Shriver.
Yes.
Is that open? Chantal, is that open?
I locked it. You have your keys.
This conference will now be recorded.
That's regular session. Make a motion to return back to regular session. Second. We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Adcox.
Yes.
Mullen. Bishop. Malat. Shriver.
Yes.
City manager report.
The only thing I have is praise for the Public Works Department. Taking 5 people. 13 inches plus of snow, drifting snow, you name it. 4 pieces of equipment. In fact, today, they replaced all the blades and things off their plows. They took the time just to recoup. And, skid steer, we put it to work right away. That was excellent. Just a great job from all those folks. Invest in what we have. We got good people, we got good management, and they did a really nice job. I got a letter of praise from a citizen just today saying they couldn't believe it. They could drive on our roads. So, they worked really hard. Their pre-treatment efforts, their scheduling efforts, and as you know, that was a point of contention with me a year or so ago. Just was so much better. We just really have truly good people, and I appreciate them very much.
Thank you. Councilman Moore, you want to take that this morning?
Great job with the 2024 budget.
Thank you. Appreciate all.
Commend the street department.
Councilman Bishop?
Okay, up there at the Scannell property, they got stormwater parks up there, you know, culverts and pipes and all that stuff. Where's all that water going? Is it gonna hook, it's not hooking into our system?
Well, that infrastructure, the sewer infrastructure is already in place.
No, I'm talking about stormwater. So all the water that comes off the roof, that rain, it goes into something different.
It's not gonna go into our sewers, for sure. I have no idea what that plan is.
Well, that's stormwater drainage from 110th Street.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a tie in there. I'll have to look at the plans.
But there is.
I'll get our engineers to look at
Yeah.
their plans and I'll exactly where it's going to die. There's nothing in any of our agreements that sucks. That doesn't mean it's not.
They started.
Wondering if that could go more to them, where they put it in all that infrastructure.
West side too.
Yeah, the west.
Yeah, Oh, it's still back there. Yeah, the street guys did a good job, man. Even the quarter-inch ice, the kids have it. It was terrible. But they came right out and did it. Did a good job. So sorry that.
Councilman Malott? Councilman Shriver?
Once again, thank all the public works, police, fire, and there was a couple of accidents. Hated to hear that, and hopefully nobody's hurt.
Precaution, went to the hospital, that's common. We were good. So I didn't say that.
This one, we kind of had all the cars lined up, right?
Yes, that's, wait a week, right?
Right, right. And, we have a new Parks and Rec employee.
We do.
You gonna get to meet this person, or?
Yes, we had to give him a day off. He worked over the weekend, basketball started, and he jumped right in, and he's already got ideas for improvement and just synergizing the whole thing. He's got lots of energy, really friendly, so I think we got a good person. Matt, he likes to go by Matt. Matt, yep. And he will be here to see him in person, he's on time off today. He needs to sleep.
I'm excited for the, Pacer assessment too. We haven't had that, I don't know how long, 10 years plus?
I believe 13 maybe is what I saw a date on one of the documents, it said 2013.
And I'm giving you the address of Councilmember Bishop and the request from them. But I just remember Dusty working on something that, you know, did he complete the sewer
We
manhole
did
covers?
the sewer, all of that mapping and the manhole covers, all of that was done, but that was done by VHC. And so we needed the sign inventory done and the sign condition, because that's important. It's not only the sign there, but what condition that sign is in. And I know those folks, those directors in the past were working on that. There's no formal, really complete document, so we need to do that. I think that's important. But our folks, since Brian has been on, Brian Hudson, the public works, they've been doing it, because I directed it first thing and said, if you're driving around, look at a sign, what's the condition, and just write it down. It's simple as that. But you don't realize how many signs the city owns and how expensive it actually is. So we're working on it.
The fire department, the chief has, where all the fire hydrants are. I would assume that, but I don't know. But
EPU,
having it, you.
Yes.
But having it all in one day, better.
yeah, they have to maintain and they GIS those, that's a BPU, facility. Each one of those.
And I'd like to thank Mayor Hayhart, I've done this before, for organizing the Harvesters mobile feeding. We worked that again Saturday. I know a lot of families sign up and they get an abundance to do, a lot of volunteers come. And that'll happen that day, and Mayor Hayhart has to take time to organize all of that. And probably not an easy task amongst everything.
Councilman Upton? Well, to kind of think back a little on Margaret's mobile pantry, we wanted to, with all of our volunteers, but also staff and public works, they had that parking lot so clear, we didn't have to worry about our volunteers slipping, which was a concern that day. And so they did a phenomenal job to have that safe for us. We had 19, we had just a great team, 19 faithful volunteers coming out and going freezing weather to serve our community, which is just wonderful. We were able to serve 467 people over 8,000 pounds of groceries that day. And so we just wanted to thank everybody that's part of making that happen. Fire hydrants have been on my mind. Actually, we had a situation I remember last year where not our city's area, but in a private section of our city, where fire hydrant was not adequate. And so I remember we established, maybe it was an ordinance or something, we had some sort of regulation that stated they were responsible for the fire hydrants, the water lines, to make sure these were up to par. And after current events, it was just a reminder, and maybe following up on our city hydrants and private area hydrants to make sure we're all up to par and functioning. We might need to help you to have them do that. I know that's their deal, but it's our people, so.
Yeah, absolutely. They are required to test them, and there's a document of that, as well as GPS. It's an, I would say, an elaborate technical system, and you see them routinely out running the water. So that's their job. Make sure those lines are sucked dry, or if they collapse or something that could happen. The mobile home community had several pieces of broken line on their private hydrant system, and we enforce the fire code, which requires them to have hydrants that are in working condition, and they hired a private plumber and made all of those repairs, and at some point our inspector will have to go back there and just see that they're running as part of that fire code we already have in place.
Well, obviously, we don't want to do that when it's below freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
But just
That's
wanted to
the one
put
I
that
see.
on your radar since that was on my mind, and, thought we could maybe get that scheduled for early spring. Stormwater was brought up for 110th Street, at another meeting. A different city mentioned that they have stormwater testing that they do at the beginning of any project, so they know approximately how much stormwater runs off of the property. I thought it might be good to reach out to our neighbors to find out what that amount is, so that as time progresses, we can make sure that there's no additional stormwater coming into our system, that we're not being prepared for. And then, just great job on the finance, report. I know Mr. Gerber's, not with us at the moment, but, the management, of our finances that you have led over this last year is just been greatly needed, moving in the right direction. It's really encouraging. On that note, we'll see you guys next time. Happy New Year.